Dasha Fishun gave birth to little Bogdan back in August. What does the name Bogdan mean? Back in March, when she was 16 and 5 months pregnant with Bogdan, Dasha was raped by a soldier, part of the occupying Russian force in her village. As well as Dasha's story, this is also that of the band of women in her village who are standing with her. But they aren't after your sympathy per se. Dasha and the other women here are looking for some form of justice. We first visited the village of Krasnivka in Kherson back in June, after it had been liberated. The scars of occupation were everywhere. Back then, we spoke to Dasha for the first time about what happened to her on the 19th of March. Herself, her mother and her sister were sheltering with others in this outdoor cellar. During a lull in the fighting outside, they went into the house to get some food. Soon after that, 2 soldiers appeared, and for Dasha and her mother Oksana, the nightmare began in earnest.
Військовий зайшов з автоматом на кухню, там, де ми їли. Спитав, скільки кому год. Там була я, сама старша сестра моя і ще там одна знакома дівчинка. Спочатку він маму погукав, маму швидко пустив, а потім мене.
Ну він ж бачив, що в тебе вже животик є.
Ну, бачив.
Що після цього було?
Після цього він мене зґвалтував.
Dasha has reported what happened to the Ukrainian police, who are investigating. Her neighbours and friends are helping them identify the alleged rapist. He called himself Nikolai. His nickname was Sini. He was fighting with a unit from the so-called Donetsk People's Republic, and Sini had a reputation. After the rape, regular Russian soldiers brought Dasha and other young women to this house in the village for what they said was their own protection.
Казали, що він з ДНР. І казали, що він сидів. Бо там інші російські воєнні казали, що він сидів. І казали, що в інших селах, коли вони заходили, він постійно спрашував, де є такі молоді дівчата.
The day after the rape at the so-called safe house, Russian soldiers organized what was billed as a sort of mediation session between Dasha and Sini.
Він казав, що я брешу, що він мене не насилував, а сам він казав, що він був п'яний, половину сила не пам'ятав.
Dasha refused to forgive her rapist, so the following day was brought to meet a Russian officer headquartered in a neighbouring village. He told her to take off her clothes. Dasha refused and then broke down. Then he said that she'd passed the test. He said he wanted to see whether, quote, she was one of those girls who would for food. How do you feel about what happened to Dasha? Anastasia Nikolaichenko is Dasha's neighbour and friend. She got to know Sini well, because one night she was injured in the shelling, and he brought her to see a medic. He told her lots about himself, that he was 35, was born in the city of Kryvyi Rih, but had been brought up by foster parents in Donetsk. Dasha waited for weeks before telling her friend what he had done to her, wanted to protect Anastasia from the pain of it all.
Я така, я сама мати 2 дітей, я це прекрасно розумію, яка це, внутрішнє состояние. І цю боль її, і дитина, це передати вам я не можу. Це просто боль.
This is the house where Dasha was raped. As the Ukrainian army were advancing on this village, the fighting here was absolutely ferocious, and the village was divided in two, basically. The regular Russian army were on this side of the village, but they pushed all the DNR troops, including Dasha's rapist, forward towards the advancing Ukrainian army as cannon fodder. The Russians told the women of the village that Nikolai or Sini had been shot. They don't believe that, though. They're convinced he was in fact relocated to Kherson city. The women here are trying to highlight what happened with a view to ultimately finding him. Dasha remains remarkably composed, telling her story. She becomes emotional, though, when talking about the comments on social media, many from Russian women, that have appeared since her story became public.
Я читала коментарі, які там писали. Типа, пишуть, типа, може, хочеш ще, типа, можем повторить, типа. Там писали, типа, так тебе и надо, типа, украинцы этого заслужили. Я там читала такие комментарии.
The women of Krasnivka are under no illusions when it comes to the likelihood of Nikolai getting caught or prosecuted. But they've decided to do everything they can to create an environment in which that could at least happen. And they've decided to do that together.
Porrick O'Brien reporting there. And if you've been affected by sexual violence, you can find a range of places to seek advice or help on channel4.com/support.